I'm Steve Ronuken, Steve Anderson in real life. I do industry in Eve. I run a corporation called Fuzzworks Enterprises, which is mostly myself. I also do third-party development with Eve, so taking the SDE that they provide and then converting it into other forms, building a website, which is fuzzwork.co.uk. It's one of the major sites in Eve, just because there is so much stuff to do, like when you're building stuff, there's so many numbers that you have to take care of. So I make that easy for people. And that's what I do in Eve. It's interesting. I find it fun. It's actually been really good for me from a work perspective, because I can play with stuff with Eve and then use it in real life. So it's been useful there. I've been playing since 2011, so that's 7 years now. Almost 7 years. I started in June in 2011. I thought I could be useful. The third-party community's never had that much interaction with the CSM before I started, and it's a fairly major part of the game, just because it makes life easier for people. Because there's always little bits where you've got to crunch some numbers. Well, you don't have to crunch the numbers, but crunching the numbers means you can be a little more effective. So having the best tools available for doing that, it's worthwhile. The main thing with getting onto the CSM is people have to know who you are. The moment they see your name and go, "Who?" you've lost. So you really have to have your name out there. The first time I ran, I didn't get on. That was in 2013, I think. CSM 8. I ran for that and I didn't get anywhere near enough votes. But the following year, as I kept running. Just making sure my name was out there. People knew who I was. They'd seen my tools. They had an idea of what I thought and that kind of thing. That's what people need to know, that they should vote for you. You see people who run and it's the first time anyone's heard of them. They're not going to get on. But the big names will. While it's not quite a popularity contest and shouldn't be, there is a strong element of that to it, and it's unavoidable. There's some stuff which we bring which probably would have been worked on anyway, but we can help shape how that goes. I know there's recent changes to planetary interaction, mostly small UI tweaks, because the core mechanic actually works fairly well. It's just, it needs a little work to not induce carpal tunnel on your mouse hand, because too many clicks. But a couple of years ago I put together a document with changes which I would like to see, so that appears to be going through now. It's taken a while, but there's also just a bunch of other stuff where we have given in feedback. Jump fatigue, for example, is one where we kept bringing it up and it kept getting adjusted, just because while it fulfilled the need which was there at the time, it was a little too harsh. So it's been scaled down, and I think it's in a reasonably good place now. Obviously we'll have to see how it goes, and the changes which it's caused. And Eve is a different game now than it was back then, just because people have adjusted to jump fatigue. So it's not actually necessarily needed in the same way it was back then. Yeah, but I always have difficulty answering that question, because the CCP developers generally have a clue what they're talking about. So it's just highlighting this is something you want to look at. The other part of the job there is just making sure that they don't do something which is less than advised. We've got a closer tie to people in the community than they do, just because we're part of that community. So it's identifying, nah, that wouldn't work, or maybe you should do this instead. It's one of those things. Quality of life patches is one of these ones. It's lots and lots of small changes, which to someone that doesn't play Eve, it might not make much sense that people are so happy about them. But when it's something that you're doing day in, day out, it makes a massive difference to how much you've got to do. Yeah, the quality of life stuff, we continually bring stuff where we go, can you do something about this? Because it's good, but it's not quite good enough. So it's something we bring on a regular basis. Eve is not a complicated game, it's a complex game. It's got lots and lots of simple systems which mesh together in ways which you might not expect. If you stopped and actually thought about it, you'd realise, but it's not always easy to work out. And that's what I like about Eve. It's having to work out everything that just fits together. and that is difficult to teach people. They're trying. They have done better. There's still room for improvement, but I suspect there always will be. I believe they're planning on 2020 to come back. So 1 year away, 1 year back. Although whether that's changed, I'm not sure. I don't think it has, but yeah, they do talk to us about this kind of stuff because obviously it's all community based. The plan came from them, and they talked to us, and we went, yeah, sounds like a reasonable idea. Whether it would have changed if we said no, it's a bad idea, different story. But yeah, they do listen to us. After the FanFest has happened, we will probably have a retrospective so we can go, this went well, this could have gone better. That happens every year. So far, it's generally, it pretty much all went well, but you might want to do this a little differently. Changes which have happened, which I'm really happy with, are like the pre-registration, so you can pick up your badge on a day other than Thursday, so you don't have the line trailing out the door, which can be so much fun in this weather. I get to get into FanFest for free, get into Vegas for free. Things like the charity dinner, obviously I have to pay for myself because, well, it's for charity and that would just be wrong. But there's also the summits, but calling those perks is possibly a little wrong because, well, I'm coming to Iceland and I'm working for 4 days. It's not bad, it's fun, but it is still work as such. I also have free accounts, not that many, but if I don't get onto the CSM, that's going to be a bit interesting going, I have to pay for these again. Okay. But it's not all the free accounts I could want, it's a couple.